This is KGW News at noon.
We start this afternoon with breaking news. Legendary actor James Caan has passed away. Caan is probably best known for playing the role of the hot-headed Sonny Corleone in The Godfather. Caan also starred as Brian Piccolo in the TV movie Brian Song, and then he introduced himself to an entire new generation of film fans when he played Buddy the Elf's father in the movie The Elf. Caan was a football player at Michigan State before he became an actor. James Caan was 82 years old. One of our top local stories this afternoon is an update on the man who was charged with attacking a father and his 5-year-old daughter last weekend along Portland's East Bank Esplanade. Dylan Kesterson appeared in court today. He was supposed to appear in court yesterday morning, but he didn't show up. When police spotted him later in the day in downtown Portland, they arrested him. Police say last Saturday, Kesterson made derogatory comments towards the 5-year-old girl and her father about being of Japanese descent and then started punching them. It happened as they were riding bikes on the East Bank Esplanade. During today's court appearance, a judge ordered another hearing for tomorrow morning. We say good afternoon. Here's another local story that we're following this afternoon. MAX trains running on schedule again after a deadly shooting late last night. So this shooting happened around 11:30 at Northeast 148th and Burnside, shutting down the MAX Blue Line in that area while police investigated. Police tell us a woman was shot and killed and a man also suffered minor injuries. No arrests have been made yet, and there's still no description of the suspect. Illinois' red flag law could have stopped or at least slowed down the suspect in the Independence Day shooting from being able to buy the gun that he used. Instead, Illinois State Police approved Robert Crimo for a gun permit. NBC's Shaquille Brewster has more for us this afternoon.
This is still very much a grieving community here in Highland Park, Illinois. We expect the first funeral to begin tomorrow. Funerals will likely extend through the weekend and into next week as those community-wide vigils and commemorations continue. We saw a large-scale one occur last night. There are several others that are planned later this evening. And we continue to learn more about those 7 lives lost, the people who came out to a July 4th parade and never made it home. Meanwhile, we continue to learn more about the investigation. You see the scene behind me. It is still being processed. The FBI still processing and working through the scene, but also returning some of those chairs, bicycle blankets to members of the community who were at the parade and had to flee those gunshots. We also heard more from the father of the suspect, the suspected shooter, that 21-year-old man who opened fire on July 4th. The father saying he was devastated, but he didn't feel responsible. Instead, pointing the finger at the investigation, the state authorities that cleared background checks for each of the 4 weapons that were possessed by the suspected shooter. There are more questions that are there, more answers that members of this community are looking for as they continue to grieve those lives lost. Shaquille Brewster, NBC News.
All right, before we get back to some of our local stories this afternoon, we do want to take a quick look outside. This is a shot from Lincoln City. Our Chinook Winds Casino Resort Skycam shows us some pretty skies out there, Rod. Man, we've had a couple of rainy starts to the last few days, but I know that you said hot weather, summer-like weather is coming back.
I mean, it is July, correct? Somebody get me a calendar. Okay, all right. Here's what's going on. We are seeing improving conditions, as Drew just pointed out there in Lincoln City. Up north, radar is still showing there might be some little bits of rain with cloudy skies over Astoria in the Long Beach area. But you drop south of Lincoln City down to Newport, and now we're opening up some decent blue skies, 61 degrees there. We're also seeing cloudy skies break up out in the gorge. Here's Elk Ridge Golf Course in Carson. So that was overcast earlier this morning. And downtown starting to break up. 72, in fact, not bad outside. So for the remainder of your day, I would say the rain chance is not 0, but generally dry, becoming partly cloudy or increasing sunshine, 79 the high, a nice evening in store. And then once we get to this evening and overnight, the rain chance appears to be gone for about a week. That gets us well into next week and through the weekend in my 7-day forecast, Drew.
All right, we'll have more from Rod coming up here shortly, but right now we want to get back to our local coverage this afternoon. Attacks against private security guards in Portland are on the rise. In just the last few weeks, 2 security guards have been shot at, another one punched in the face. These recent attacks are making it hard to recruit new people for the job. KGW's Alma McCarty spoke with one security guard who says a bullet narrowly missed him while he was working last weekend.
Having been a security guard for about 4 years, Calvin Reynolds tells me he knows the risks involved.
It's something I get to do for the community.
But what happened early in the morning, July 3rd, was unexpected and alarming.
I took a corner. I saw a guy hop out a white Audi for no reason, reached for his waistband, shot 2 shots. I ducked, I hauled past it, and then he ran across the street and fired more.
He counted 6 shots fired on Northeast Rodney Avenue, one of those bullets nearly hitting him.
One bullet went through the passenger side window and lodged itself in the windshield right in front of me. So I was ducking as I was driving away. That bullet was about 3 inches away from my head. Reynolds
says this isn't even the first time. He's been shot at before, another time in Northeast and once in Vancouver.
You get kind of not, I won't say used to it. But yeah, I'm all right. I'm doing better.
And his most recent experience isn't the only recent case of violence against security guards. On June 26th, on this block of Southeast Division Street, Portland police say a suspect shot a security guard in the chest after a scuffle for the guard's handgun. Luckily, his ballistic vest prevented the bullet from injuring him. Then, on Wednesday, officers say a woman being escorted out of a business near Pioneer Place Mall punched a security guard in the face, then threw a cup of coffee at her. As for the most recent shooting,
it's hard to prepare for an ambush, which is what this was. And I don't think there's any amount of preparation you can do for something like this.
Mark Mercer is Reynolds' boss, owner of Eclipse Security.
This is the first time I've ever had this happen to me or to one of my staff. We certainly have had our confrontations with people, but I will say that it seems like within the last 3-4 years, things have gotten extremely hostile.
He says an uptick in violent incidents is making it much more difficult to find qualified candidates for this line of work.
It's extremely difficult. People don't want to go out there and confront people. They don't want to challenge people. They don't want to engage people. Nobody wants to put a uniform and badge on because they turn into a target.
Alma McCarty, KGW News.
Crime and homelessness are forcing a lot of businesses to pack up and leave their office buildings around Portland. One example is this building we're showing you right here at Northwest Everett and 5th. It's right in the middle of Old Town. It's back on the market just 2 years after it sold for $25 million. The company that owns the building says tenants don't feel safe going to work. And without help from the city, the company says it's concerned it may have to make decisions on the 7 other buildings it owns throughout Portland.
We just feel let down by the city of Portland. We didn't realize that the city would ignore the public safety concerns as long as they did.
We also talked to a representative from Pacific Northwest Research. He says there are currently 30 office buildings for sale in the urban core. Vacancies overall have increased 80% since 2019. The FBI, meanwhile, is working with Portland police to find out who was involved in a string of vandalism Monday night. It happened during 4th of July celebrations downtown. Vandals tagged businesses with graffiti. They smashed windows out. We still don't know, though, who exactly was involved. This video, or there was video, I should say, posted online that shows up to maybe 100 people were involved. Many of the businesses we saw Tuesday cleaning up, businesses like Buffalo Wild Wings, Target, and also businesses at the World Trade Center. The FBI, meanwhile, released this statement saying, "We are aware of the incident on Monday night, and we're working with our law enforcement partners and within federal guidelines to determine what, if any, specific FBI action is warranted." A spokesperson with Portland Police says officers did arrest one person on Monday. Now to the rising COVID numbers in Portland and around the area. According to the CDC, all 3 metro area counties are now considered high level, along with more than 2/3 of Oregon counties. Take a look at this map. All high level areas are marked there in orange. As a result, wearing a mask while indoors in public and on public transportation is now recommended. It's not mandated, but it's recommended. Community levels are based on case rates, hospital admissions, and hospital beds that are available. Washington is facing a similar slide right now with 15 counties in Washington at high risk. Due to Multnomah County's high-risk situation, some schools have already made the call to require masks again. The Gresham-Barlam School District required masks inside all of its facilities starting this past Tuesday. The district sent out an email to summer school families on Sunday saying it will also continue to use ventilation and HVAC systems.